Well, here we are now, a day or so after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, who was a right-wing Christian nationalist ally and friend of Trump, and that little fat preacher that's dead or whatever down there in Liberty University or whatever. He founded a conservative movement and a turning point, I believe he called it, and he was backed by big money and big business to spread right-wing, anti-union, anti-worker ideas. And so the nation is just in a state of shock, and the right wing and the government are in a state of shock, and everybody's afraid, and quite rightly so, because political assassinations, obviously not because of killings, because they go on all the time, but political assassinations, everybody feels threatened, no matter what their political views, including union leaders, union people, activists. We're all vulnerable if that's the case. That's why they are not dealing with people like Kirk or anybody we oppose through that method is against the interests of the working class, and we should oppose it. But it's crazy. They've gone crazy with the mourning and the accolades and everything else for this guy. Peggy Noonan says in her piece this morning in the Wall Street Journal, please pray for America, she says. And she then goes on to talk about him. She says it's a hinge point, and we're hearing it common around the country that there's a new dark period opening up. America is broken. What's going to happen? And she says it's a hinge point. And then she goes on to describe him, and she says, Kirk was a presence in the life of a whole generation of young conservatives. She said he set a kind of template, quote, template for how to discuss politics with good cheer and confidence, with sincerity and marshalling of facts. And then she went on to say, in relation to the killing, that the moment the bullet hit him, these young people, the moment the bullet hit him, they will remember it all their lives. It will be part of their understanding of politics in America. Yeah, just like the kids in the schools that now go to school with the bulletproof backpacks, that they see the killings that they see day in, day out in this country almost. And in fact, there was one the same day in a Colorado school. And so it's just incredible. But what type of man was Kirk? Charlie Kirk was a racist, was a misogynist, said horrible things about people. Somebody quoted in one of the papers today, well, he never hurt anybody. No, he didn't, but neither did Hitler. I'm not comparing him to Hitler, but no did Hitler. He never physically hurt anybody. He simply incited violence, just like Trump does. Trump may never ever punched anybody, probably, because they'd punch back. And he's a bit of a worthless that way. But Manson's another example. So he didn't hurt anybody. He simply incited violence through his racial remarks, his remarks about people of color, about black women. He was a climate denier. He didn't believe in church and state. He didn't believe you could have freedom unless you were a Christian. He was, and how he can be a Christian, I don't know. The short time that I was interested in Christian, I was a Catholic, and a lot of Christians like him don't consider them Catholic Christians, but it was the compassion and the love and the friendship and unity of those teachings that I was attracted to that 50, 60 odd years ago. But Noonan even talked to one of the Catholic famous. He's in the New York Archdiocese. His name's Father Father Gerald Murray. She asked what advice might be hopeful. Charlie Kirk, he said, wanted to share, quote, the eternal truths that make life meaningful and joyous. He did so by reasoned argument and dialogue. His example should inspire us to pick up the baton that fell from his hand. This guy must not have read anything that this guy said, not watched anything that he said. I watched him for a while in the early beginnings, and I just turned that crap off because it's extremely harmful, and it's just it's damaging for working class people, for our interests. But the other thing is, they're talking about, what's fascinating is that they're talking about, well, this is America's broken, and this is opening up a new dark phase. Well, what about Trayvon Martin? Was that opening up a dark phase? What about the black guy down in Texas? I think it was. They strapped to the back of a pickup and drove him along until he was probably nothing left hanging of him there. What about that? What about the guy that shot at the synagogue? What about the guy that shot from Las Vegas? America, this didn't start just now. It's been in trouble. I've been here 51 years. And I've seen the degeneration, the political generation, in particular because of the two parties of capital. You know, the big problem. And as for Trump, I mean, talking, what did he say? He's just paranoid schizophrenic, that guy. He was asked right after, he was asked, would he like supporters to respond to Kirk's, how would he like supporters to respond to Kirk's assassination? Trump told a reporter he was an advocate of non-violence. That's the way I like to see people. Then, and another question was asked him. Into another question, he said, we've had radical left lunatics out there, and we just have to beat the hell out of them. This guy, by the way, that with the shot Kirk, his parents were Republicans. They worked for the sheriff's department. He wasn't your average run-of-the-mill left-wing family. But the thing is that with people like Kirk and neo-fascists is what he really was, is that these right-wingers, they latch on to the First Amendment, which is the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights in this country that guarantees free speech, the right to freedom of religion, to protest and so forth. They latch on to that. Well, why do they latch on to that? They support the right to free speech that gives them the opportunity to build a movement on the ground that can take power and deny our right to free speech and everything that goes along with it. There'll be camps, there'll be prisons. There already are, but you will see a lot more of that. And the last, I'll keep this short, is that in relation to the act itself, I don't feel much empathy for this person, but I strongly condemn that approach, as I said earlier on in this little presentation here, because they're going to respond with increased repression. They will go after all sorts of people. There will be increased listening to our telephones, watching us online, and this, that, and the other, and increased violence, retaliatory violence against any dissenters. We can see it already. So it's not gonna help us what this guy did any more than what that guy Luigi did. You know, I wasn't going to shed tears for the CEO either. His policies that he supports has killed a lot of people. This guy Kirk supports the genocide in Israel. He doesn't care either about life. How they call themselves Christians, I can't. Well, of course I can. There's good things and bad things in the Bible, and people pick what they want. And these evangelical Christian nationalists pick what they want. But it's just staggering to see the crying and what we've seen over and what I've seen with all the shootings, the killings of kids, the crisis in the health industry where thousands of people die all the time because of lack of health care that this guy's policies supports, you know. And Kirk was no friend to the working man or women in this country. He didn't deserve that. What he deserves is a mass response, a mass movement of the working class, the building of our own political party, and when it comes to fascist movements, driving them from the streets, making sure they are not, when we have the numbers, and we do have the numbers, the unity is the question, but driving them from the streets, making sure that they feel they're afraid to raise their vicious, hate-mongering ideology, that ideology that Kirk supported and propagated. That's the way we have to deal with him. Anyway, these are just a few quick comments on these events.